I always believed that a family vacation could fix anything: old grudges, silent tensions, unspoken resentments. Maybe I was too optimistic, or maybe I simply wanted to give everyone something to smile about for the first time in years. After months of saving, planning, and secretly arranging everything behind the scenes, I finally booked a 5-day luxury trip for my entire family to Miami. My parents had never flown anywhere for a vacation, my brother was always too busy, and my sister Emily believed life owed her everything. But I still thought, foolishly, that maybe for once she would appreciate something someone else did for her. I announced the surprise at our weekly Sunday gathering. Everyone was sitting in the living room, Mom knitting, Dad reading the newspaper, my brother casually scrolling through his phone. Emily was painting her nails like she owned the entire house. I stood in the middle of the room, nervous but excited, and said, "I have something for all of you. Pack your bags. We're leaving in 3 weeks for Miami." I booked everything: flights, hotel, food, all of it. My mom gasped, putting her hand on her chest as if she'd heard something unbelievable. Dad looked up with a slow smile. My brother grinned wide like a little kid. But Emily, she froze, blinked, and then tilted her head. "For all of us?" she asked in a strange tone. "Yes, all of us," I said happily. "A full family trip. My treat." Emily crossed her arms. "What about Ryan and the kids? You didn't include them." I sighed quietly. This was exactly what I was afraid of. "Emily, this is a family trip for Mom, Dad, you, me, and Mark. I can't afford a resort package for 3 extra people." Emily scoffed loudly. "So you planned a whole luxury trip but can't afford my family? Seriously, what kind of selfish planning is that?" Mom gently said, "Sweetheart, it's her gift. She planned it out of love." Emily ignored her and looked directly at me, her voice getting sharper. "You think it's okay to take the whole family without my husband and kids? Do you know how that makes me look?" "There's no rule that says every vacation must include your entire household," I replied calmly. "This is our first family-only trip in years. I wanted it to be special." She rolled her eyes. "Well, I'm not going. And if I'm not going, neither is Dad. He promised he'd help watch the kids that week." Dad's face hardened. "Emily, I didn't promise that." "Yes, you did," she snapped. "I mentioned the dates last month." Mentioned, not asked. That was Emily's style. She expected everyone to adjust around her. Mom spoke up. "Emily, don't ruin this. Your sister did something amazing. Can't you just appreciate it?" Emily stood up from the couch slowly, like a queen rising from her throne. "If you want to do something truly generous," she said, "you can upgrade the vacation to include a suite for me, Ryan, and the kids. Otherwise, you're excluding half my family." "That's hurtful and unfair." I stared at her, dumbfounded. For years, Emily had treated me like the background character in her movie. She had ruined my graduation party by insisting the cake be changed because she didn't like the color. She hijacked my job celebration dinner by announcing her pregnancy right in the middle of it. She even demanded that my parents gift her my old car, because she deserved it more. I had forgiven everything. I had stayed silent. But this time I felt something inside me crack. "I already paid $8,000, I said calmly. "I'm not adding another 5 just because you feel entitled." Emily raised her eyebrows. "Wow, so you can spend thousands on everyone else, but not a little more on me. Good to know where I stand." My brother finally snapped. "Emily, shut up. She's doing something amazing and you're ruining it." Emily pointed at him. "Stay out of this, Mark." Dad stood. "Enough. You're not going to disrespect your siblings." Emily glared at all of us with pure, icy entitlement. "Fine. If you won't include my family, then I'll go anyway, but I'm staying in your room. And the kids will stay in Mom and Dad's. You can figure out where to sleep." "What?" I asked, shocked. She shrugged. "Well, you should have planned better." The room fell silent. The audacity in her voice made my heart pound. I looked at my parents, tired, embarrassed, unsure. I looked at my brother, angry. And then I looked at Emily, smirking, waiting for me to surrender like always. Something inside me hardened. I realized right then that Emily didn't want a vacation, she wanted control. She wanted to twist something beautiful into something centered around her. I took a deep breath. "Okay, Emily," I said softly. "You know what? You're right." Her smirk deepened. "You're absolutely right," I repeated. "I should plan better." My brother almost whispered, "What are you doing?" I smiled gently and pulled out my phone. "And I will." Emily crossed her arms victoriously. I opened the airline email, scrolled, and clicked a button. Her smile faded. What did you do? She demanded. I canceled the entire vacation, I said calmly. The room exploded in shock. The room fell into stunned silence, and for the first time in my entire life, Emily didn't have a ready-made comeback. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. My mom stood slowly, eyes wide in disbelief, and Dad looked like someone had pulled the earth out from under his feet. Mark stared at me with a mixture of shock and awe. Emily finally blinked and stepped forward. You didn't cancel it, she said sharply. You're bluffing. I turned my phone toward her. Refund confirmation, I read aloud calmly. Trip cancelled. Entire family vacation, gone. Her face twisted. Why would you do that? You called my gift unfair, I said quietly. So now there's no unfairness. No discrimination. No vacation. Mom whispered in disappointment, sweetheart, you didn't have to do that. I looked at her with pain in my heart. Mom, I did everything with love. All I wanted was one peaceful family trip, one. And she turned it into a circus in less than 10 minutes. Emily stepped forward, her voice filled with panic now. You can't do this. The kids were excited. No, I cut her off. You didn't even tell them yet. And you weren't thinking about them either. You were thinking about control. Like always. She clenched her fists. I'm the villain now. Really. All because you excluded my family. You were included, I said. But you demanded to be prioritized. It was the truth that she didn't want to hear. Emily's entitlement wasn't new, but today, for the first time, she was facing resistance. She pointed at me angrily. You think this makes you some kind of hero? No, you ruined everything. You punished everyone because of your ego. You're selfish. Dad stepped forward. Emily, enough. She tried to do something kind. Emily turned to him, furious. Of course you're taking her side. She's the golden child now because she bought one trip. Emily, Mom said, you've ruined so many moments with your behavior. We stayed quiet, but this time, she's right. Emily froze. She wasn't expecting Mom to speak like that. Her lips trembled slightly, but in typical Emily fashion, she recovered quickly and marched toward the door. I'm out of here, she snapped. You all can sit here and feel proud of yourselves. She stormed out, slamming the door hard enough to rattle a picture frame. As soon as the door shut, I felt my legs shaking. My chest felt heavy, not with regret, but with sadness. When you love family, hurting them hurts you too, even when you're right. Mom came toward me. Why didn't you tell us you were struggling with her behavior? Because you're already dealing with enough, I said softly. And she's your daughter too. I didn't want to create tension. Dad sighed deeply. She took advantage of your kindness. She always pushes, and we should have stepped in earlier. Mark sat down and shook his head in disbelief. I've been waiting 10 years for someone to put her in her place. Thank you. I managed a small laugh, but my heart still felt heavy. Even though Emily was wrong, she was still my sister. The next morning, my phone exploded with angry messages from her. Long paragraphs blaming me, voice notes filled with dramatic crying. Images of her kids saying they were disappointed, though I knew Emily had staged that. But somewhere around noon, something strange happened. A message from Emily appeared, only 3 words. We need to talk. I didn't reply. Then came another. Please talk to me. The tone had changed. Not yelling, not demanding, not controlling, almost scared. Hours passed before I finally texted her back. What do you want to talk about? Her reply came instantly. Can I come over? I hesitated but then agreed. For once, maybe a real conversation could happen. When she arrived, she wasn't wearing her usual bold lipstick or perfect curls. Her eyes were swollen, hair messy, and her hands fidgety. Emily never fidgeted. She sat on the couch silently for a full minute before finally speaking, her voice low. I didn't mean to ruin your surprise. Yes, I said softly. You did. Tears swelled in her eyes, and she took a shaky breath. I don't know how to stop being like this. That sentence hit harder than anything she'd said in years. She wiped her face. I'm always scared of being left out. I know I act entitled. I know I ruin things. I just don't know how to change it. When you announced the trip, the first thing I thought was, why didn't you include my family? Why wasn't I the priority? I know it sounds stupid, but my brain just goes there. I didn't expect honesty. Not from Emily. She covered her face with her hands. And when you canceled it, I realized, you weren't doing it to punish me. You were done with me. And that scared me more than anything. It was the first time I'd ever seen my sister vulnerable without being defensive. I exhaled slowly. Emily, I don't want to cut you out. I want you to be part of my life. But you keep pushing until people break. I can't keep forgiving behavior that keeps hurting everyone. She nodded, tears falling. I'm sorry. It wasn't perfect. It didn't fix everything. But it was the first real apology from her in years. Then quietly she asked, is there any way you can plan something smaller? Maybe just the family. I promise, I won't interfere. I'll pay my own way if I have to. Her voice cracked on the last line. I looked at her for a long moment before replying, maybe. But not until I see change. She lowered her head and whispered, I'll try. For the first time in years, I believed here Emily's apology didn't magically erase years of entitlement, but it planted a seed, one I never thought she was capable of watering. Over the next few weeks, the change was slow but noticeable. She didn't demand anything during family dinners. She didn't interrupt people mid-sentence. She didn't treat every gathering like a stage where she had to be the main character. For the first time in my life, she actually listened. One quiet Sunday morning, she sent a simple message in the family group chat. I'm making breakfast for everyone. Come over if you can. Every single one of us stared at that message like it came from another dimension. Emily didn't make breakfast. Emily didn't invite. Emily always expected others to come to her, serve her, accommodate her. But we all went anyway. When we arrived, the kitchen smelled of pancakes, scrambled eggs, and slightly burnt toast, Emily's signature sign that she had really tried. She greeted each of us with a tired but genuine smile. I wanted to do something nice, she said quietly. Mom's eyes softened. Dad gave her a proud pat on the shoulder. Mark hugged her. I simply nodded, but she understood. Trust rebuilds slowly, brick by brick, not overnight. Over breakfast, she told us she had started therapy. That alone shocked the entire table. Emily never admitted flaws, let alone sought help for them. She said, I realized I was pushing everyone away. I don't want my kids to grow up copying my behavior. It was the truest, most vulnerable thing I'd ever heard her say. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months. Emily apologized again, properly, to each of us individually. She made small but consistent efforts, and we responded with cautious acceptance. I didn't plan any vacation. I needed time to see if this change was real or temporary. Then, one afternoon, Mom called me. Sweetheart, she said softly, Emily wants to meet you. Just you. I felt a pinch of worry but agreed. We met at a small cafe. She arrived early, another surprise, and she didn't look tense or dramatic. Just sincere. I've been saving money, she said. I want to talk to you about something. She handed me an envelope. Inside was a travel brochure, for Miami. My eyebrows lifted. I can't afford a luxury resort, she continued, but I've saved enough for a 3-day weekend trip for all of us. A small place, nothing fancy. But I'll cover my family's part. No demands. No expectations. No drama. For a moment, I didn't know what to say. Emily waited quietly, hands trembling just slightly. I don't want to hijack anything, she added. I just want a chance to do something right. One time. I want Mom and Dad to have memories with all of us before the years slip away. Her voice cracked, and she looked away. If you say no, I'll understand. I won't get angry. I won't argue. I just wanted to try. This wasn't the same Emily who demanded sweets and control. This was a woman trying, genuinely, to grow. I leaned back and exhaled slowly. Emily, I appreciate this. Truly. But let me think about it. She nodded. Take your time. That evening, I sat in my room replaying everything in my mind. Her apology, her effort, her therapy, her restraint, her genuine desire to repair what she broke. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel resentment toward her. I felt hope. The next day, I called a family meeting. Everyone arrived, curious. Emily stood nervously in the corner, fiddling with her fingers. I spoke first. I've thought a lot about Emily's offer. And I'm willing to try the trip. A small one. A simple one. No luxury, no stress. Mom gasped happily. Dad smiled wide. Mark fist pumped. And Emily, she burst into tears. She rushed into my arms. Thank you, she whispered, shaking. I won't ruin it. I promise you. I believed her this time. 3 months later, we went. We didn't stay in a fancy resort. There was no private balcony, no luxury breakfast buffet, no ocean view suite. It was a small, simple family lodge, but it became the best vacation we'd ever had. Emily didn't complain once. She didn't try to take over. She didn't demand upgrades. She didn't treat the trip like her kingdom. She played with her kids in the sand. She helped Mom cook dinner in the little kitchen. She laughed, really laughed, with all of us around the bonfire. She apologized again quietly one night, sitting beside me under the palm trees. You deserved better from me, she said. I'm sorry it took losing everything to see that. I replied gently, it wasn't about losing the trip, Emily. It was about losing us. She wiped her eyes. Never again. On the last night, as we all sat around watching the sunset, I realized something surprising. Canceling the original vacation hadn't destroyed the family, it had reset it. It forced Emily to confront herself. It forced us to confront the imbalance. And in the silence that followed, something stronger grew. We returned home closer than ever. Emily kept going to therapy. She kept learning. She kept trying. And I kept giving her space to change without expecting perfection. Months later, Mom said to me in the kitchen, your revenge wasn't loud. It was wise. Canceling the trip was the best thing you could have done. Maybe it was. Because Emily didn't just lose a vacation that day, she lost the version of herself that pushed everyone away. And what she gained was far more valuable. Family. Real family. And this time, she fought to keep it.